Angela.
I'm Leah, and we out here.
Yes.
To Whitney Plantation.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little nervous.
Turn right.
I ain't gonna hold you. Oh.
These potholes are no joke.
No,
out here.
they are no joke.
Goodness
That's
gracious.
true. They be
We
big
done hit
ass.
a few of them.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I'm excited to see it. I'm not sure if I've been on a plantation or not.
At the light,
Have
turn
you?
right onto South Claiborne Avenue.
It's very likely that I have.
Yeah. Sure.
Not in the past few years I haven't though, and I have not been to this museum. So
yeah.
So this plantation is one of the more unique ones in the New Orleans area in that it tells a perspective of the enslaved, right? The other plantations in this area tend to tell history from the perspective of architecture and the beauty of the land. Even more recently, there's been discussions about like white people getting married on plantations and because of the way it looks and just black people don't consume the history the same way. So yeah, me too.
We'll see you guys there. We're gonna pick up something to eat real quick.
Yes.
On the way, and then we will check back in.
Yes.
The Whitney Plantation is about 45 to 60 minutes outside of New Orleans, so we had to grab food before heading out as the plantation is located in a more rural area of Louisiana and it was unlikely that we would be able to find food nearby. We decided to grab lunch at Nial's Creole Cafe, which you all just saw, and they had really good gumbo and seafood. At first, I thought that we were not allowed to record while on the plantation, so I stopped recording. However, while we were walking through, we did notice people taking pictures and recording, so maybe we were allowed to, maybe not, I'm not sure. But we did not get much footage because we didn't want to go against the rules of the plantation. So instead, we kind of talked out after about what we remembered of the plantation, okay? Here is some of the footage that we were able to get from Angela's iPhone. I'm actually not going to play any music over it because I want you to hear how quiet the plantation was. Like, all right, so, okay. Let me try to think of something else to not say all right. We just left the Whitney Plantation and we're gonna speak a little bit louder because the air in the car is on. We didn't want to turn it off because it's so hot outside.
We didn't want to die.
It is extremely hot outside, so we're just gonna have to deal with the sound of the air in the background. But they don't allow filming in the sorry, I just had to check my lips. Okay. They don't allow filming on the plantation, so we weren't allowed to get much footage. But we did want to talk about like everything after. Well, not everything, just a few things. But first, when you go in, they give you this pass. And mine has like Polly Johnson on it. And who's yours say?
Francis Lewis.
So Polly Johnson, it says
I was 12 years old when freedom come. Us daddy, he worked the ground he owned on Sunday and sold the things to buy his shoes to put on his feet and his clothes. The white folks didn't give us clothes, but they let him have all the money he made in his own plot to get them. One day, us papa falls sick in the bed just for freedom. So just before freedom, I think is what it's saying. And he kept calling for the priest. Old massa called the priest, and just before us papa died, the priest married him and my mama. For that, they just married by the massa's word. So I'm just gonna let you see it to kind of see if you can see it, the kind of language that is used here. And here is, yeah,
Frances Lewis.
She
was age 86 at the time of this interview here. So she said, we used to play Ring Around the Rosie, All Light by Candle, and games like that, but I didn't have much time to play because I was too busy every day. But Saturday, I didn't have to work. Well, I used to rub old Miss and old Ma's feet every night, and I had to try to dry the dishes too, and bring in the kinkling wood. Anything else they tell me.
Yeah, so there are lots of personal and general stories of people that were enslaved and slavery in general in the plantation. It's kind of like a real life museum.
Yeah,
so,
outside.
So they let you go into some of the buildings. You can't go into all of them, but they let you into like some of the slave quarters, the first level of the big house, and things like that. It's a very, like, if you get depressed or sad from these types of stories, you might have a hard time in this museum or this plantation. How do you feel?
Okay, so I thought it was a very good museum, very informative. It had a lot of different stories that they told, and they told different things that I didn't know about, different uprisings that occurred and how they occurred. And they even gave names of like people who led those. And so I think that's pretty cool information because, they tried to not allow us to document those type of things, and we were able to do that. And then this is from word of mouth also. So a lot of the stories are from interviews that they did back in the early 1900s for people who, were children during the slave time. So it was cool. It was more informative. I knew it would be informative, but I didn't know that they would have that much direction, and you could hear a voiceover, so you could get headphones and see and go along the routes and see what was there. So yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah, so it was a walking tour. There was lots of walking. It was so hot. Like, we kept trying to find spots for shade. I can only imagine having to stand in that sun all day, every day. If anything, I know from my ancestors, I know that I can do anything, because
yes,
okay, but yeah, so we just wanted to give a little talk a little bit to you all. So I told you all before, we're very introverted, and we never know what to say when the camera's on. We do much better at just showing, so that's why a lot of the previous videos don't have much talking. We just do a lot of showing rather than telling. But if there's anything you all want us to talk about, just go ahead and write that in the comments. Let us know. All right.
And these are all the sugar things, huh?
Yeah.
So this is a sugar and rice plantation, molasses. Yeah.
While leaving the plantation, you can see the large bowl-looking things that were used by the enslaved to make the sugar and the molasses here on the Whitney Plantation.
Imagine all the snakes and animals they had to encounter. Because that grass wasn't cut down like this. It's not the whole thing. It was fields and stuff. And out there in them sugar canes, they said it just would be everything.
They wanna find me not breathing like they found Mike. Pay homage, pay homage, pay homage, broad niggas. Pay homage, pay homage. About to be a Suge Knight. Pay homage, Pay homage, broad niggas. Pay homage, about to be a found Mike. I don't like found Mike. I don't like found Mike.
Also, while on the way out of the town, not too far from the Whitney Plantation, we saw other large estates that looked like they were also once plantations that enslaved many Black people. We saw fields of crops which looked like sugar cane, so this tells me that they still harvest that plant or that crop in the area. Alright, y'all, it's been sweet.
Check us out next week
When we out here in these streets. Peace.